square and compass can give you power. What the fuck?
The Freemasonic square and compass is not just a symbol that represents Freemasonry, a lodge, or a secret society. It is a symbol of gaining your own personal power. Now in this video, I'm going to be breaking down this symbol in the most detail I can possibly go into. Most people live in a state of illusion. They live their life impulsively, acting based on their five senses, tasting, they want to feel a certain thing like an orgasm, or they're basically just
What the fuck?
slaves to external things and their five senses, which leads to a very dark path where you'll never actually become a conscious creator and you'll never actually be internally happy. The Freemasonic square and compass reveals some deep wisdom about this. Now let me break this down.
I don't know why, but I'm thinking of plants. It made me think of The Thing as well. Because in the movie The Thing, from the 50s, the scientist gets into it, like how plants may have a higher advanced way of communicating, on a cellular level. On an individual cellular level, if that makes sense. I don't know, he just explained how, like, we as human beings and a lot of other animals are very physical, outwardly physical. And we really look to the internal, the spiritual, the cellular level of
If you want to gain your
consciousness.
personal power, listen up. The Freemasonic square and compass is a compass which is used to create circles. Now, if you notice something about the circle, they have no beginning, no end. You can't tell where it begins and ends. It's eternal, which means this represents consciousness. Now, if you don't know what consciousness is, if you close your eyes, you have an internal world.
And the
Feelings,
measurement resembles
emotions,
the ruler represents physical world, the measurement, the physical, the body.
visualization. This is all consciousness.
So the conscious and the physical becoming one.
Spiritual. Then we have the square. The square creates squares or lines, which represents matter. It has a beginning and an end. You can quite see where the beginning of the end is, right? So we can even link this to Leonardo da Vinci, the Vitruvian Man. We see the man in the square with the circle. The circle is the eternal consciousness, and the man is the square, limited to the physical world. But consciousness is not limited, that's why it's outside the square. This is eternal, the body is mortal. The body will die, consciousness will never die. If we look even closer at the symbol, we notice in this particular symbol, we have the compass overlapping the square. This is very, very symbolic.
The conscious overlapping.
Spirit over matter, also known as mind over matter, consciousness over matter, the circle over the square. Like I mentioned earlier, most people are slaves to their senses. They go through their day and all they do is chase validation and feelings.
Outside
Eat
things.
all day to feel good, which means they're a slave to their taste. They're slaves to their feeling. They masturbate, which means they're a slave to orgasms and external things. They're literally being governed by the external world controlling their internal world. They're literally living life on autopilot. And don't get me wrong, I was guilty of this too. We're all guilty of this when we join this world because we're not taught this sacred knowledge. Until you actually stop and recognize this, you'll be living life on autopilot, literally not even living. You'll be running off subconscious programs, seeking external validation and being ruled by these five senses. The square underneath the compass represents consciousness on top of matter, which means the internal world is controlling the external world. It is the mind controlling matter and not matter manipulating the mind. In the occult and esoteric world,
matter manipulating the mind. The mind manipulating matter. I don't really think. I really believe that the outside world, genetics too. Never mind. I don't know. I think it's a mix of the two. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's a combination of the two. Hmm. It becomes unhealthy when one gravitate towards more than the other. No, the world manipulating the mind could be seen as like manipulation and everything, right? And the mind creating the world could just be seen as delusion. Am I right with this?
Matter and not matter manipulate the external world. It is the mind controlling matter.
The mind controlling matter and matter controlling the mind. If matter is controlling the mind, that's manipulation. If the mind's controlling the matter, that's delusion. But the balance, you could say, is reality, the state of just being.
And not matter manipulating the mind. In the occult and esoteric world,
That's the art I forgot how to do, the state of just being. Of just being. I can recall one memory that I have, only one, where I was truly just in the moment. I wasn't in the world and I wasn't in my conscience. I was just in the present moment, being, existing. This had to be like fourth grade. This was fourth grade, after school program. You know, it's recess. We're playing outside, getting picked up to go home. The sun setting. Um, the friends at the time were like my best friends ever. Like my most notable group of friends I ever had in my life. You know, I would always remember this group of friends. You know, and I just remember staring off in the distance at the lunch tables, and I was just standing there looking off. Playground behind me, everyone playing behind me. Not paying attention to that. Not really paying attention to what's in front of me. Not paying attention to what's in my head. I'm just staring off in the moment at peace. All I could say was peace. It was just mad peaceful. The outside world wasn't influencing me. My consciousness wasn't influencing the world. I was just at peace. I was just being. And I remember this friend of mine, she comes over and she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, just standing here. Just chilling." I don't know, I really like this girl, bro. She just understood and she just put her hand, put her arm on my shoulder and she just chilled with me. And then one of the other homies came over and he was like, "What are you guys doing?" We were she was just like just chilling. And he kind of was like, "Oh, what the hell, whatever," and just went on playing. But it was like the most peaceful moment of my life. I got to share that with somebody too, which was beautiful. Just that peace.
it's very important that you are conscious of every action that you are taking in your day to day life.
Yeah.
Never act subconsciously. Always be conscious. What are you thinking? What are you acting?
That's kind of impossible because subconscious can be like breathing or just brushing your teeth. That could just become a subconscious thought. Putting on your shoes, your slippers to walk around in, that's subcon. I don't really see it.
What are you giving your attention? All of this is contributing towards creating, because you are a creator. Consciousness is a creative force. You
True.
need to make sure that the compass is on top of the square, that your inner world is controlling
But that's when it could become delusion. You're creating a whole reality in your own head.
the outer world.
Your own perception of things, of people, of events. You know, if you don't take accountability up to what's in front of you physically, and you just focus on the mental, your conscience, it just becomes delusion.
And
That's why there has to be a balance of matter and consciousness. I don't know.
not the outer world controlling the inner. As I've mentioned in many videos before, the internal world of consciousness is what's producing the external world. Your life is just a result of every thought and emotion that you felt in the past. Everything you own, everything you possess, your friends are all reflections of your consciousness. They're all reflections of what you are thinking about. When you change your thinking, your external world starts to rearrange itself. On a basic level, this symbol represents the combination of spirit and matter. You are a spiritual being and a material being. You are heaven, the sky, and earth, the ground. You are heaven and earth, spirit and matter infused into one. You are a bridge between the divine and the earthly worlds. And you
God created by God in God's image. Yeah.
can bring down these higher realms of consciousness, thought, imagination, and emotions into a physical, tangible reality.
You're about to lose $40,000 for your car accident because you don't know this one trick. Check this out.
To do this consciously, we need to make sure the external world.
We didn't create the plants. I didn't consciously create the plants in front of me, the trees in front of me, the dirt in front of me, the animals in front of me. That was here before my consciousness ever existed, or anyone's consciousness existed. I kind of don't. I really don't agree. I can. It does make sense what he's saying, but like at the same time, it's like, dude, everything doesn't come from the human conscious. Like things are things, you know, they're naturally here. That's why I'm saying there has to be a balance. It's where you get the true peace is when you're in reality, the natural balance of reality. Physically and mentally, you're in the present.
Is not manipulating the inner world. Because if your internal world is being controlled by external circumstances, for example, you have a circumstance happen in your reality, an emotion triggers inside of you, and that emotion is a command to create more of that. And the thoughts that you think are creating more of that negativity. So it's a constant cycle of negative manifestation if you let the external world control your internal world of consciousness. So we need to make
It could
sure
be this. We could say the same thing the other way around. Like
the compass is on top of the square, that the internal world are commands and not reactions to create your external reality. And not only just to create, but to actually enjoy life. If we let the external world bother our internal world, this means that we have some sort of mental or emotional attachment to the external world.
this just sounds like someone who just wants to deny what's in front of. Like, does that make sense? I don't know where I'm going. It's just like, come on, dude. There are some things that are just natural and factual and physical that like you consciously cannot change. I don't know. This
need to detach from the external world. Why do I say that? Because it's temporary, it's an illusion. We are going to die one day, and none of this will matter. You need to understand that
he's getting into the whole we don't even exist type of thing. We're just consciousness. And then you can get into the whole we're in a matrix, we're in a computer simulation. None of this is real. This is all programmed. This is all consciousness. Somewhere else, somebody else thinking of us, creating. You know, it goes back to God too and everything. I don't know. It's just
everything in this world is temporary. You have to be with okay. with losing things, losing family, losing things in this world, because it's guaranteed to be temporary.
Yeah, it's not conscious. No, it's physically happening.
Sure, the internal world is order and not chaos, commands and not reactions. Now, at the back of the Book of Wisdom, Volume 2, the book that I've wrote here, I go over the different meanings of the different arrangements of the square and compass. Sometimes we see the square overlapping the compass, which is the opposite of what we've just broken down.
There's the balance.
Sometimes we see one leg of the compass on top of the square and one leg of the square on top of the compass. These are all highly symbolic. When we see the square overlapping the compass, this pretty much represents the beginning of the Freemasons' journey.
So I'm pretty sure was talking about the balance I was kind of referring to.
When their internal world is being controlled by the external, they have a lot of spiritual growth and a lot of learning and inner work to do. Now, when we see half and half, one leg of the square on top and one leg of the compass on top, this represents the Masons' gradual emergence from the material realm into the spiritual. This interplay of symbols reflects the process of gaining greater light and knowledge as the Masons ascend from material concerns towards spiritual enlightenment. And of course, we've just broken down what this means. This represents spirit over matter. They're not chasing external physical things anymore. They're actually chasing and gaining validation and happiness from spiritual growth, more knowledge, and deeper understanding of consciousness and themselves. Most people chase external material things, which actually don't make you happy in the long run.
I could agree with that.
Given £1 million today, in a week's time, you would be back to the same original state of consciousness and actually chasing more and more millions of pounds. It's because nothing physical in this tangible world will ever satisfy your internal world of consciousness. So through spiritual growth, we can actually become happy and seek higher understanding, higher consciousness, which actually satisfies us eternally. So when we see the compass on top of the square, it symbolizes the triumph of spirit over matter. This arrangement not only signifies the mastery of spirit over the material realm, but also represents the resurrection, ascent, and dominion of spiritual principles over all earthly conditions. It's all about gaining personal power and spiritual growth. It's all about spiritual evolution, going from matter to spirit. The external world controlling the internal world to the internal world ruling over the external world, where the mind becomes a powerful tool to actually create and command reality.
It sounds like Christianity a lot. Overcome the world, pick up your cross and leave the world behind and follow me. Look to what's in heaven. Look to what I offer you in a heaven and not on earth.
Mind cannot create and command reality if it's being governed and tossed all over the place by external circumstances.
That's the thing, though, what he's saying.
It's being governed and tossed all over the place by external circumstances and thoughts. Here's a quick tip.
No, they're not thoughts and they're physical, real things. What I get from this is he's trying to say everything is just conscious. This was consciousness. The wood in front of me, the trees in front of me are just consciousness. They're not really here. I don't buy that shit.
Over the place by external circumstances and thoughts. Here's a quick tip on how to know if you're to the internal world ruling over the external world, where the mind becomes a powerful tool to actually create and command reality. The mind cannot create and command reality.
Create and command reality. Be God, pretty much, is what they want. Reality is reality, whether you can't really, it's just reality, bro. Like, yeah, you could change the course of your reality, of where you're going in life. Let's look up the definition of reality. Dude's saying it a lot. It's just the way. Reality ain't always what it seems. The world or state of things that actually exist. Yeah, it's physical, but it actually exists. I don't know. Dude is just
world ruling over the external world, where the mind becomes a powerful tool to actually create and command reality. The mind cannot create and command reality if it
now we could say that, oh, he has his own reality. I have my. No, that's perspective. That's not reality. Reality is reality. People and the way they see reality is their perspective of reality, of what is already here, you know? He's speaking about perspective, not this is perspective. This isn't reality. Reality is just one reality. Anything beyond that is delusion. It's like I'm saying, it could become delusion when you're just completely in your own head. I've been there, trust me. I've been thinking like, oh, this is all pointless. This is all consciousness. This is just all in the head. It's like, no, some things are actually physically real that you got to deal with on a physical realm, you know? Some things can't be solved with consciousness, with thoughts, with changing your attitude. It helps. At the end of the day, action, course, you know?
it's being governed and tossed all over the place by external circumstances and thoughts. Here's a quick tip on how to know if your mind is controlling you. If your phone notification
The way I get it is I feel like he perceives it as, you know, everything not being physically real. Like he probably doesn't believe in that. I don't know what he believes in this dude. But it sounds like he's saying everything is just consciousness. Just in our head.
goes off and you're working on something and you instantly go to reach and pick up the phone as soon as the notification goes off, that is an indication that your mind is controlling you and you are not controlling it. The mind is the direction of consciousness.
Your mind controlling you, or you're not controlling your mind. Your mind is you. You are your. This doesn't. Well, are we possessed? Are we controlled by something else? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, the physical body is gonna have like urges and shit, but mentally, like, that's crazy. That I could kind of understand, your physical body against your, conscious mind. You could physically be craving some candy, but mentally you're like, oh, I don't feel like eating that crap though. So I could kind of see that. I could kind of understand.
Pick up the phone as soon as the notification goes off. Know if your mind is controlling you. If your phone notification goes off and you're working on something and you instantly go to reach and pick up the phone as soon as the notification goes off, that is an indication that your mind is controlling you and you are not controlling it. The mind is the direction of consciousness. The direction, it directs the flow of your attention, your energy, your consciousness. So to practice to gain mind over matter is simply just meditation, allowing the mind.
It sounds like he's saying we're separated from like. Gets into a whole religion, divine beings, whatnot, free will, if we truly have it or not. It starts to get into like that argument. What he's saying, it sounds like the consciousness is like an external being, a cosmic power, God, is what he sounds like he's getting at. And that we can overcome and take control of this power, of this consciousness.
To sit still and focus on one thing for long periods of time. And over time, this will gain mastery over your attention and your mind. If you are on your spiritual path, this should be your goal, your internal world becoming the master.
No. That's when you can fall into delusion. Here.
Internal world becoming the master. This will gain mastery over your attention and your mind. If you are on your spiritual path, this should be your goal, your internal world becoming the master.
If you're on your spiritual path, this should be your goal. Being in tune with both the mind, body, and world around you. The reality of the world around you. You know, you just can't fall into delusion, your own consciousness. You can't make assumptions all the time without physical actions, questions, experiments, actual trying things out in the physical world, you know? The spiritual go out. What will help you with your spiritual is going out and seeing what God naturally created, being in more tune with what God naturally created, the earth, the plants, the animals, go fishing, go hiking, go walking, go breathing, fresh air. That's true meditation, you know? Not closing your eyes and going off into your consciousness and breathing. I've been there, done that. Like, all you do is put yourself on a pedestal and you just prop yourself up. You become very prideful. It just becomes very delusional.
The mind becoming a vessel for you.
God created the world for us. You know, we get better spiritual connections when we're connected to the earth more. You know, with God more. You could look at John going into the forest to prepare the way for God. Being in tune with the forest, with what God created. Eating the honey, the insects. He became more in tune with God spiritually, going off into the forest. You know? Living off of what God created. And he did pray. He prayed and meditated, but that was in the woods and everything. Praying to God, meditating.
And not a vessel controlling you. It needs to become a command center and not a reaction. Please like, share this with a friend, and subscribe.
Some points I like, but at the end of the day, like you could tell, like kind of all over the place. I really feel that you need to be in tune with both mental, conscious, and the physical in order to be really spiritually connected to the spiritual, you know, world, God, trance state. God is found where there is life. Where there is life, there is God.